This woman had lost something very precious more than a decade ago, but found it in the most unexpected way. But before we start, please make sure to subscribe to m&rtv and hit the bell so you never miss any upload from us. Also, leave a like right now. Have you ever found something that is very precious that you lost about more than a decade ago? The chances are nil, right? But here, at the age of 84, Mary Grams got the biggest surprise of her life when she picked a phone call from her son, who had found something very surprising pertaining to his mother's past, and that thing was going to change their lives forever. The best part of it is the way that a long-held secret came to light. You just won't believe how it reappeared. I bet you would not have seen something like this ever in your life. The voice of her son was not clear, as it felt like he was speaking from a distance. Though it took her time to decipher every word spoken by him, she immediately realized that something was out of place, and that exactly was the case here. This widow was in for a big surprise, which was going to teleport her back to the past that she kept a secret from everyone. She did not tell even her husband about this. Now the past had come back to her, and it came in the strangest way. Little did Mary Grams, the 84-year-old widow, know that she was going to learn one of the biggest lessons of her life at such age. Prior to the incident, Mary, who resides in Camrose, southeast of Edmonton, Canada, had a very peaceful life with her family. Her husband passed away in 2012, and now she spends most of her time with her grandchildren and children. Her son Brian and his family were residing away from her in their ancestral farming field when she got the call. They had found something unexpected from Mary's past, and when the old woman got knowledge of it, she had her mouth wide open. In the next few days, her granddaughter came to her home only to give the special thing that belonged to her. Seeing that, she could not help but go back to her past. She thought of the time when she was young and living a very blissful life with her husband, and she also reminisced on the incident that occurred in her golden days and now was going to affect her life. In order to understand her present that is already full of surprises, we need to flick the pages of Mary's past. Mary got engaged with Norman in 1951. Norman gifted her a beautiful diamond ring at their engagement, and a year after, the two tied the knot. After marriage, the two started living in Norman's ancestral farm in Armina, Alberta. For Mary, it was like a dream come true. At that time, she used to live in the house adjacent to their farm with her husband, where that thing was found. It was a peaceful place with lots of scenic sights all around. Needless to say that she was leading a perfect life until an incident transpired that made her regret something for the rest of her life. Armina is one of the remotest villages in the western province, Alberta. The population residing here has farming as its main occupation. Like every other home in the town, Mary's family too used to do farming. In fact, the family was into this profession for a very long time, amounting to about 105 years. The family, generation after generation, did its best to keep the farm and the gardens evergreen. Mary was no different. She loved gardening. She liked spending her leisure time in her gardens, looking after the flowers and vegetables. One day in 2004, she was walking in her garden looking at all the crops. It was then she saw that weeds had grown in a large number. Weeds are unwanted plants that grow on its own and can prove fatal to the main crop if not checked. Out of fear that the weeds would cripple the growth of her other crops, she decided to pull the weeds out of the ground immediately after seeing them. Mary vividly remembers the day. I was going to look at something. I don't remember what I was going to look at. All of a sudden, I saw this tall weed. Graham explains. I thought, oh, I'll grab it. She had no idea how much she was going to regret this action in the future. Even though she did not have gloves and any other equipment, she decided to go without them. Mary extracted all the weeds with her bare hands, and after completing the task, she went inside the house to do her other work. Till then, she did not realize what had happened to her. Surprisingly, it took her several hours to notice the horrible change. Her face discolored when she found out about it. After a while, her ring finger caught her attention while doing daily chores, and then she started looking here and there desperately. She had lost the engagement ring that Norman gave her in 1951. She had it with her for the last 50 years, and now suddenly it was gone. The worst thing was that she had no idea where and when did it fall. It took a while to realize that the ring would have fallen in the garden while taking out the weeds. She sprinted towards the field and checked each and every strand of weed. Mary said, "I got on my hands and knees and looked all over and could not find it." She continued searching for her ring the whole day, but it was to no avail. That very night, she cried hard until she slept. It was not just a ring for her, it was much more than that. She did not tell anyone about her loss of the ring, not even Norman. For days she continued looking for the ring, but each time her hope of finding the ring remained a far-fetched dream. She said, "We looked high and low on our hands and knees." She further added, "We couldn't find it. I thought for sure either they rototilled it or something happened to it." Gradually, she began believing that she would never be able to find the ring. Even after so many days, she kept it a secret from her husband. She narrates, "I didn't tell him even because I thought for sure he'd give me heck or something. But there was someone who knew about this." Though Mary did not let anyone know about the ring, she did confide in her son Brian. Brian, like every obeying son, listened to his mother and promised to keep it a secret. Now the big question before Mary was how and for how long would she be able to keep it a secret? Because she knew everyone would ask her about the ring if they find her finger denuded of the asset. There was no way she could tell Norman. She had to plan something. What she did next was unbelievable. On the very next day of getting the idea, Mary visited a jeweler. She bought herself the cheapest engagement ring available there. Just imagine how bad would she have felt at that time, as she had to substitute her diamond ring with something much cheaper, but the ring had surely solved her problem. Astonishingly, no one realized that the ring she was wearing was a fake one, not even her husband, let alone the world. However, she later on admitted, "Maybe I did the wrong thing, but you get so worked up." This secret remained a secret until the time the woman revealed it on her own. 13 years had passed by, and the ring that she knew was lurking somewhere in her garden remained buried at an unknown place. Many things had changed by the time 2017 arrived. Now the farm is occupied by her son Brian and his wife Colleen. However, the farm is taken care of in the same way she used to take in her time. Just like her mother-in-law, Colleen used to harvest the vegetables for lunch or dinner. As usual, one evening Colleen was harvesting the vegetables when she found something really historical. It was an unusual discovery made by Brian's wife Colleen. It happened when she was uprooting some of the vegetables out of the garden to have for dinner. Unaware of the coming incident, she kept on harvesting the vegetables. After a while, she moved to the row of carrots, and what she found there was extremely baffling. She had never seen anything like this in her life. Due to the ring's weird appearance, it took Colleen some time to realize its worth. Something was stuck around the carrot that had heavily influenced the shape of it, that made the carrot look like a malformed one. So after plucking this carrot out, Colleen thought of feeding it to the dog, but luckily, she chose to do against it and place the quirky carrot into the pail. She brought the carrots home, and till then also she had no idea what she was holding. Soon she was going to realize what it was, and her reaction, well, that was something you really need to know about. Carrying all the vegetables, she went to the kitchen and started washing them. Finally came the turn of that weird-looking carrot. While washing it, she saw something very shiny wrapped around it. Just to confirm, she looked closer, and in no time she realized what it actually was. She immediately told her husband about her discovery that reminded Brian of something from his past. Brian reminisces, all of a sudden there was this sparkling thing around it, and about 2 inches down it had cut into the carrot. He immediately picked up the phone and dialed his mother's number. It was her long-lost ring that came up in the most unbelievable form. "You just won't believe how this ring looks now." Daly explained, "If you look at it, it grew perfectly around the carrot. It was pretty weird looking." "Have you seen something like this before? Isn't it amazing?" Daly explained, "I knew it had to belong to either Grandma or my mother-in-law because no other women had lived on that farm." It was confirmed that the just found ring was Mary's lost engagement souvenir. Now the only thing left was to give it back to her. On the very next day, when her granddaughter brought her the carrot tightly clad with her ring, she could not believe her eyes. She said, "A sort of happy feeling went through me, and I said, it can't be possible, yet here it is." How much had she tried at the time to find it, but it came out now after more than a decade when she had lost all hope of finding it. Mary recalls the emotional moment. "I recognized it right away. They found it yesterday when my daughter-in-law was digging carrots for supper." In the same week, Mary in her house in Camrose, Alberta, gently cut the carrot into 2 pieces and took her ring out. The moment was witnessed by all members of her family. After retrieving the ring, she washed it. "It was still like a dream for her," she explained. "It just doesn't seem real yet." Visibly, ecstasy was running through her body. The most amazing part is yet to be said. Even after 13 years of miring into the soil and then surrounding a carrot, the ring still fits perfectly into her finger. In fact, she did not have to struggle a bit to get it on her finger. And they say if something really belongs to you, it will surely come back to you regardless of time. Mary opens up, "I thought I would have to go to the jeweler today, but it still fits. That was the most amazing day of her life." This is true that her husband died some days after celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary. She decided to continue wearing the ring that marked her beautiful relationship with her late loving husband. Another reason is quite fascinating. She said, "I'm going to wear it because it still fits." She believes that her husband would have laughed at the coincidence. She assumed maybe he would have got a laugh out of this. The woman also got her lesson, and now she takes extra care while doing anything that struggles with her ring finger. She said, "If I'm going outside or anything, I'm going to put it in a safe place. That is what I should have done." Nature has its own way of surprising others. Who would have thought that the ring Mary lost would be found by her daughter-in-law? That too when it was the most unexpected, and most importantly, who would have ever imagined the peculiar form in which it appeared? Brian rightly describes, "Mom had lost her ring several years ago, and for some reason, a carrot happened to germinate right through the ring, and it grew around it," he added. "It was so weird that the carrot grew perfectly through that ring." It may interest you to know that this is not the sole case in which a ring was found years later. Check out the next slide to find out how this man lost and found his ring. Another farmer, Bill Wilson, was driving when a grasshopper got into his car and sat on his chest. In order to get the insect out, he held it and hurled the insect out of the window. It was a very ordinary reaction, and he did not sense anything wrong till he saw his ring finger. It was a shocking sight, as his wedding ring was not there. Along with the insect, he had unknowingly flung his wedding ring out the window. He used to wear this ring rarely, as his work did not allow him to have it on, especially while working in the fields. But the ring was very precious to him, and he decided to find that out. In order to find the ring, he even took the help of a metal detector. His son Stuart Wilson puts, "He looked off and on for years. Every time I drove by there, I drove with my head out the window. But finding a small ring in big fields was not an easy feat." Call it his luck, Carly Goodwin, whose house is just a mile away from the place where Wilson's ring went missing, saw something radiating out of the drenched soil while walking by the path. She recalls, "It had rained the day before, kind of shined the surface of the ring, and I come along and see it shining. I saw it reflecting and I dug it out." After finding this precious thing, she called her grandmother and sought advice in order to find out its owner. She tried finding the owner but failed one day at an auction. She came across Wilson and asked if he knew anyone who had lost his wedding ring. Wilson narrates the incident. "I told her yes, I did. I told her it was me, and I told her what was engraved inside it. Just to make her believe, he told her all about the ring, including its design, carrot size, and many more things." Wilson says, "The woman's mouth dropped open and her eyes got big. The woman replied by saying, 'I don't believe it,' as Wilson was just the second person she had asked about the ring." Goodwin said, "I didn't think I would find the owner. I was blown away. It's almost like the ring wanted to be found." On the other hand, Wilson could not believe his luck in getting the ring back. The ring had been away from him for many years, and when he got it back, he felt a little weird to wear it. But despite the uneasy feeling, he placed it back where it belonged originally.